Hello everybody, I am Richard Vigorelli, your guide for everything Chinese medicine, TCM, and incidentally everything just a little bit on the weird side. So, as a continuation from my last video about yin and yang with the, in case you missed it, the link is in the description below, I would like to talk to you guys a little thing about qi and blood. First of all, what is qi? I know you probably heard that being thrown around a lot by people that do acupuncture, people that think they understand Chinese culture, and a few others. So, what is it? What does it do? Well, yes, it is energy. A lot of people probably tell you it's just energy. Well, energy can take on a lot of forms. So could you be more specific? Why, yes, I can. Qi is also breath. It is movement. It is capability. It is ability. It is why something exists and its capacity to exist and function. So, everything has qi. Some things have more qi than others. For example, a lightning bolt would have a lot of qi versus a rock would not have as much qi, but it has some. It has to, because everything has a yang component to you. Everything also has a yin component to it. Now that does not mean that everything has blood, because qi is a component of yang, blood is a component of yin. So, not everything has blood. If something has blood, it is, by definition, alive. So what is blood? I'm sure you ask. Well, blood in humans is the red sticky stuff that flows through our body and comes out when we get cut or something isn't working right. And we need it. It's, yes, has iron in it and all that. That's why it gets the red color, because of the iron oxide, because iron grabs oxygen, carries it to the cells, blah, 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 blah. So, what is blood to the in Chinese medicine? Well, not only is it the carrier of our life force, but it also houses our qi. That's why in a lot of medical texts, we refer to it as qi and blood. Not just qi, not just blood. Although they can be separated, they are very, very much so intertwined. Qi moves blood, and blood houses qi. So blood is also the repository of our emotions and our memories and our traumas and our victories and our joys and everything else in life. So, you know the old world saying of, it's in my blood. In Chinese medicine, that is literally true. And I have been treated for and treated people for many problems that can only be taken care of by treating the blood itself and helping to extract that memory or that trauma. It's actually one of the foundational parts of treating addiction. So, this is extremely important stuff, qi and blood are. Now, remember back in the last video how I said yang deficiency and yin deficiency? Well, you can't have a yang deficiency without first having a qi deficiency. And you cannot have a yin deficiency without first having a blood deficiency. Okay? That makes sense? Because they're parts of it. Okay? So, how exactly do we get qi and blood? Well, qi and blood are made by this wonderful and magic organ called the spleen. What is the spleen, I'm sure you ask? Well, I'm going to do a full video on that in the near future, but the spleen is in itself our digestive system and our factory. It takes the outside world and turns it into us through the act of eating. So how can you get deficient? Is it just not eating? Yes and no. Stress will contribute to the deficiency because your body's having to work harder. It's having to create more stuff with the exact same amount of stuff that it's getting. So reserves begin to deplete. Also, improper diet. If you're eating just calorie-rich food and not substance-rich food, as in you're eating stuff that comes out of a paper bag, and the person handing it to you says, "Do you want fries with that?" Or it comes in a bucket and they ask, "Would you like original or deep fried?" See what I'm saying? So one of the best ways is to eat good meals, and I'm going to do an entire episode on just basic diet tips, because diet is so important in maintaining the basic parts of who and what we are. And also environment will contribute to a Qi and blood deficiency. If you spend all day, every day out in the sun, you're going to screw up your blood. If you spend all day, every day in blistering cold, like say Norway or Finland, Nova Scotia, Alaska, you get the idea, you're also going to burn up your blood. Why? Well, here's what happens. Blood needs to move really well. And cold begins to stagnate things, right? It makes things more what's called viscous, so they don't flow easily. As a result, the blood doesn't move very well. Now, what happens when things don't move, but they still want to move? You get friction. Friction is, by definition, heat. Heat is, to a point, the enemy of blood, especially if it's heat coming out of the friction generated by cold. That gets rid of the fluidic aspect of blood, and the blood begins to congeal even further. That's why when you're cold you get those aches and pains, and you can point to it, because that's what's called blood stagnation. And that's bad. Very, very, very bad. So blood deficiency, typically in what most people call Western medicine, is anemia. Typically iron anemia. Most other forms of anemia, you have to either have something living inside of you to get, or be exposed to some kind of horrible chemical, which you probably haven't been, or you have radiation poisoning. So chances are, if you are truly anemic, you have an iron-based anemia, which means just eat some red meat, just eat some leafy greens, maybe take some iron supplements for a few days, you'll be fine. That being said, please go see the doctor if you are feeling anemic, okay? So, what do we do if we have HE and blood deficiency and you come to see me? Well, I'm first going to give you an acupuncture treatment that is going to hit on some very specific points that are very simple, nothing you really need to worry about. A couple on the leg, 1 or 2 in the hand, maybe 1 in the wrist, and then 1 on the top of the head, call it a day. Maybe in the belly too. 1, maybe 2. And then I'll probably give you some herbs to take, which will help rebuild stuff. Now, your body's already been told through the acupuncture that it just needs to make the Qi and blood right now. Use what it's got. More stuff is coming. You take the herbs, you'll be fine in a couple of days. It's not my goal to have you take that stuff for a long period of time. So, if you have any questions about Qi and blood, please leave them in the comments. Or you can even go to my website at vigintmed.com. That stands for Vigorelli Integrated Medicine. And I am Richard Vigorelli, your guide to everything TCM. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe down below. Feel free to leave a comment. And I will see you guys later. You have a great day and stay healthy.